episode 638. Today, please join me on a visit to Field to Heart, a Washington flower farm owned by Swan and Valiant Poole. When I first met this talented couple, they were based in Snohomish, an agricultural county located about 30 minutes north of Seattle. Both have an extensive background in the arts, horticulture, fine gardening, and organic landscaping. They now apply this experience and expertise and passion to providing sustainably grown, chemical free, high quality flowers to florists in the Pacific Northwest. In 2018, Dee and Valiant relocated Field to Heart to Curtis, Washington, to a new property and residence located west of Centralia. Centralia is known as the center point, about 90 minutes in either direction between Seattle and Portland, which has allowed Field to Heart to also supply Portland area florists who shop at the Oregon Flower Growers Association. OFGA is also a Slow Flowers member, and it's located at the Portland Flower Market. Earlier this month, I had a trip to the Washington coast planned with a friend, and in looking at the map for my return drive to Seattle, I realized that we were due west of Field to Heart. I've always loved the botanicals that Dee and Valiant grow, and I basically invited myself to visit them on my trip home. When she emailed me back, Dee wrote, "We'd love to show you around Field to Heart. We should be here all day on Saturday making wreaths. Being farmers, it's hard to get away even in the off season." Well, I brought my camera and I started filming the minute I arrived. In the video, you'll see inside the high tunnels, the low tunnels, and watch as I spend time chatting with Dee and Valiant on their porch. In preparation for their winter wreath and garland production, the porch is converted into an outside studio filled with greenery and other beautiful design elements. It's also the location of the wreathing workshops that they host at Field to Heart during December. Let's jump right in and welcome Dee and Valiant to the Slow Flowers Show. I'll share our sponsor thank yous after the interview.
We're just opening it a little experimental in this tunnel.
Why is that? Just to get some circulation in here?
Yeah, if they get really hot, we're gonna try out our clary sage this year. I put our olives in there. I've had them for years. I was like, wouldn't that be cool to have some foliage? And then we grow our white sage in here.
Oh, you've got little pansies in here going.
Yeah, this was always the edible tunnel too. But then it was like we always had little bites on them, and they have to be perfect. So for edible flowers, so we were like.
So you have another home for them now?
Yes, which is up on our balcony. We have those big, huge. There's like big plant. What are those called?
The planters.
Yeah, they're planters. Yeah.
Oh, on the balcony? I can't see them from here. Yeah.
On each side.
Just to keep the insects.
Yeah, just something's nibbling on them and.
Keep them from munching.
Yeah. So this is field 2, field 3. We're working out, basically getting more and more shrubs and
more woody ornamentals.
Yeah.
What
These
are the
apricots that are getting eaten by deer? You can see that they're bare from the bottom down.
Yeah.
That happens every year.
And having fungal issues.
They're having fungal issues. We have a couple we need to take out, and they haven't been great cuts, but I like the shade, so we're gonna keep them for the shade until if they all eventually die out, maybe someday they'll be decent cuts.
Well, if they get taller and bigger, then the deer can't nibble on them, right?
Right.
Yes, yeah.
I think the thing is though, especially with the flower farming, is you find out as you go, like, oh, I can't grow that here. Or like my soil composition is just never going to be right for that. So.
But it took 3 years to make that realization kind of thing.
Yeah, like they ended up growing fairly big and getting good, and then like slowly but surely they just can't take the wet portion of the year. Yeah, I mean it's basically the water table is just below, and a lot of people have said that if you dig too deep out in this area, this is the Willapa Hills or Willapa. We're still not really sure.
I mispronounce it all the time. I don't know which is correct.
I'm trying to figure it out.
But I guess if you go deep enough, you'll get salt water.
You're that coastal.
Yeah, so I mean and we're basically just a clay slab on like a basalt.
So Val, you guys built these high tunnels when you established the farm here?
Yeah, we moved in, that was 2018 summer, right? We were farming in Snohomish and transferring to here. So as we were finishing the season in Snohomish, we were creating Field 1, and we built our greenhouse and started that winter. We built a walk-in cooler, and I think it was same winter this tunnel went up.
Yeah, this went up in the spring.
So kind of you just had to do it in phases, and probably had when you had the time and the resources.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Aaron from Raindrop was talking about game changers, and it was basically like you have to have the cooler if you want to preserve your product. You have to have the greenhouse if you want to get stuff started. You're gonna need a tractor. So it's like, so there's got to be 5 game changers at once. You know, like, is there really? Is that it?
Yeah. Can you buy a lotto ticket and take care of them all in one time?
Right. I wish.
Oh, so these are your ranuncs.
Those are ranunculus.
Can I go take little pictures of them?
Yeah, and then on the edge, on the other side is a rose geranium.
Yeah, this
On
cut down row is the rose geranium, the scented rose geranium.
Wow. And you just, is it just because you harvested it? And
So we grow it as a perennial here,
Okay.
and usually 95% of them will come back.
Yes.
So we have some other plants that we'll do starts off of and just replenish as we need.
Yeah, you'll take cuttings then.
But yep, and in the
These look really healthy.
yeah, they are very happy.
When did you plant the ranunculus?
So she put them in, you soak them, then you lay them out in the flats with some soil, and then they'll start to pre-sprout.
And then we planted them with our employee, like on the last, it was like 3 weeks ago, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
they look great.
Yeah, they're doing.
And then they bloom, what, March, April?
Yes, as soon as we can get them.
D,
Yeah.
do you prefer Danielle or D?
She goes by D.
I go by D.
Okay,
yeah.
D. This little cloche kind of netting or remay is just additional protection when
Yeah,
the temperatures drop.
Yeah, we had some frosty nights, so
Yeah,
we come out, put
Yeah.
this
Pull it
on.
over.
easy.
We left it off last night because it was only going to be 38.
Yeah, so
But-
it's if we don't have to do the extra effort.
Yeah.
Right. Wonderful.
But this is definitely your chore. The temperature in here, the second the sun comes out, can jump up like 20 degrees, 25 degrees. So if you wait till too long to come out and open it, then it's up into like 80 degrees.
Which is
inside.
why you're trying to get ahead of it, because it might,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the sun might break through today.
Yeah,
It will.
and really these
Even-
are a cool crop. They don't want, you'll start to have more pest issues if it's always stressful conditions.
Wonderful. This is why you can't leave the farm.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
You
that's-
have to basically baby everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It's a lot of nurturing.
Love your oak leaf hydrangea too.
Yeah, those have just been kind of sitting, and deer have eaten them at the end of the season, but I'm hoping eventually we'll get to.
At one point we
Get
did
the
have
cut from
some
them.
crazy half-concocted booby traps, fishing line, cattle panel pieces.
Right.
We're
Coyote urine.
yeah, all of it. We're
Trying-
just
trying to control the deer.
we're not hunters,
Yeah.
so that's
You don't
not.
have access to that skill set of how to outsmart them.
No.
Yeah, well, and we're just not one to shoot it and skin it and
Yeah.
and eat it.
No.
I know other people would.
Not
but
that wouldn't be my jam either.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
We're just annoying, is what we are basically.
you try to annoy them. Oh,
Yeah.
look at your GM, you guys. Those are massive.
Yeah, so these
Jeez.
we put in last year as just like as a experiment to get blooms earlier
Okay, in the high tunnel.
in the high tunnel.
Yeah, because you can probably sell most every stem.
Yep,
Yes,
and the foliage
yes.
is really cool too.
We were doing mass merch, we were Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, and
Were they going into mixed bunches or into straight bunches?
Mainly straight.
straight
Yeah.
bunches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But there's a lot. We've got 2 rows in field 1 as well.
Yeah, that was one
We
of
just
our.
basically divided the ones in field 1 and put them out here last spring. So
got more plants.
yeah,
Oh, I love it.
and the foliage looks nice. It's
And
a little
they're
bit more
all-
protection from deer because I figured out that they're eating the buds in the spring. They're like eating the flower buds on everything. So.
Oh, they knew you grew edible flowers.
Yeah,
Those little
great.
bastards. Oh my god.
Yeah, the tunnels help to protect against that.
The ones that surprise me are the delphiniums because those are supposed to be poisonous. Like every part of that plant is supposed to be poisonous from seed to bloom, and they're eating them. So it must not affect deer.
That's a shame.
Yeah, either that or they're not putting it together. That's what they ate that gave them,
Gave them a
gave them the
stomach
stomachache.
I mean, you. I asked you about when you built these because you had to probably get these high tunnels up early, right when you first established the farm.
Yeah, it was in the spring of the first year. We moved here in August and finished up the season as we were moving, and then had these going, and we had the low tunnels too.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
those
yeah.
were like first, and then we went to the.
In a way, it kind of feels like Monopoly. Like once you get 4 of those, you can get a hotel. Where you have to like build up and
Love that analogy. Well, everything you're self-funded, so like you're buying the materials and it's all your labor.
yeah,
Yes.
and that's the biggest thing. I think ultimately when it comes down to it, you can afford a truckload of lumber and have it here, and then it's like, all right, who's gonna hold the other end of that?
Yeah,
So I mean,
There's
that
two
was
of you, right?
Yeah,
Did
I
you
was
have friends
pulling
come
the
help?
plastic over there.
we didn't.
Yeah.
Nope.
Wow.
We've had like 3 years now. We've had employees, which has been great, but it's been hard to find. And you have to, for us, just like getting started, have a lot of courage to like go in and hire
The funding of it, yeah.
hire the employee and know that it's going to be,
Oh,
you're going to make it up during the season. So.
right. Like, is that going to allow you to do what you're like the most value-added use of your time, so the employee can do the stuff that
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
is not so precise or experienced. right?
Exactly.
Yeah. For
Skill
us
sets.
too, it's a lot about maintenance, like having an unmaintained farm coming from a landscaping
Yeah,
and
we're
maintenance
both,
field.
like, 2 decades
it hurts.
deep
Like it
into
hurts your
landscaping.
whole. I don't know. It was hard to
I
like
totally understand that. Like,
get around that.
It sort of seeps into your spirit if there's weeds everywhere or if things
Yeah.
are not pruned properly.
Right,
Well, and-
right.
You have an aesthetic.
Yeah, and it's like it just is depressing, and you feel like that's not me, but you don't have time to do it. So the last couple years we've been able and really focused on getting things weeded and in order and looking and feeling good.
Yeah.
Lovely. I feel that.
And
when I
it's-
pulled up the driveway, I was like, this is gorgeous.
Well,
and
and
look at your setting.
We
Yeah, the
really
setting.
want it to be we
Gorgeous.
want to work towards having more engagement with people and the
On farm,
yeah,
yes.
on farm experience and agritourism. So we're intentionally having Dee do a design for the landscape and trying to have a
Bit
broader
piece by piece.
vision,
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
what we're gonna have.
It's your lifetime project.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
But we're trying to condense it into a shorter period.
Okay. All right. All right.
We have other lifetime aspirations too, so
Well, I'll follow you and show me what's in these little, what do you call them? Little
Low tunnels.
Low tunnels, okay.
The caterpillars.
These are all Crispidia. I wanted to put a high tunnel here and one at the beginning of field 2. Unfortunately, it's not happening this year, so.
But these do the trick for
These are doing the job. Yeah, these are a tender perennial, so they may or may not make it through the season.
I just bought some of your Crispidia and I just thought it was so healthy and
Yeah,
long stems.
These were started. The majority of these were started this year because last year they didn't make it through the season.
Okay.
So.
So you're like, okay, what do we have to do to get them through the season?
Uh-huh.
Because they are perennials,
They're perennials. They don't like wet feet. This helps with all of that.
because the rain doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and it keeps them from this uber cold.
Yeah.
Having a small farm, I feel like you really have to pick your crops like carefully, because if you
We say they have to pay their rent.
have
for the
too much
space.
of something, it's gonna be like the surplus. It's like where does it go?
Right.
And then if everybody else has that as well, again, it's gonna be it's hard to get it sold.
But there's a catch-22 to it. So it's like you can say, okay, I want to grow this crop, and the joke is 25 feet. Like, no. Because if you only plant 25 feet of it,
You don't have enough.
you bring it, everyone gets excited, and we call that flower foreplay, where everyone is like, oh my god,
The florists
the
are freaking
orders
out.
come in, and it's like,
We don't have
yeah,
enough.
we don't that was it.
So 25 feet is too small.
It's just not enough
small a
to-
commitment
yeah.
for
Yeah.
you.
So we've basically, a lot of time, we're like, okay, well, we got to start with a whole row.
We've learned that 100 feet.
And then it can turn into something where it's like, whew, this one's aggressive. We only needed like 1/3 of a row. But
You don't know until the second season.
Yeah, and then until you see like what the demand for it is. And so it helps. Dee calls crops like this one bilingual because we can dry it. And so like
Wait, what do you mean by that?
so it's bilingual because it can come fresh, or we can hang it and dry it.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then
Dual purpose.
So
Yep.
yeah, it's not as stressful if it doesn't get cut. Like also the Nigella, just like we can sell the pods and
Yeah, we can
So
dry the
smart.
flowers. We can multiple purposes and uses for it.
Wow, I love it. What when people ask what you're known for, what do you say? Perennials and woodies with a few annuals, or
I say GM
yes.
because that's that was our signature crop.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that we really went for. What else?
I don't know. It's kind of changed. At one point, sage was really big for us.
Yep, edible flowers.
Edible flowers.
That's what I remember you early on.
Yeah,
being
edible
the only
plants
people bringing
in
edible
general.
flowers. Yeah.
We still bring them. It's just like this year at the market, we probably, if we don't have pre-orders, we'll bring some in. But then, like looking at the sales, they were the shrink was equal to the sales. So I'm like,
And
is
they're-
it worth it?
It's a very
Yeah.
particular harvest process. It's a very everything's very specific. It
Yeah.
has to have a high quality to it. And
COVID
so-
kind of also like
Changed the
Yeah.
restaurant scene.
yeah, felt a little bit
Yeah.
it's different.
Cool. Well, let's go back and let you make some wreaths.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and do you start to say this is going to be your display garden in here?
So this is, we're creating a landscape here, a lot of grasses. It's kind of like a piecemeal landscape, but we've got a design that is inspired by a picture from Garden Design magazine that we saw in Australia. But the top of this will basically be a big gravel patio, and then all of this around
Kind
it.
of a ring of texture around it. Lovely.
Yeah.
Where
And
the
this,
plants can kind of like grow into the patio, but it'll be less maintenance,
More
a nice
landscape.
atmosphere, more landscape, and then of course everything that we're putting into the landscape is always cuttable.
right. So
Right,
it can be
yeah.
beautiful for your guests or visitors or customers.
Yes.
But it's going into your bunches.
Yes.
And
So smart.
And also wanting to create division and kind of like a separate room for this space.
Yeah.
Ideally, what we want is things to grow up and to be able to be inside and not look at the farm.
Yes.
Not look at the work.
Yeah, because otherwise you
Yes.
open the blinds and
You
you're
wake
like,
up in the morning and
you're like, oh, it's out there.
well, it's higher too. I mean, it's kind of like it won't flood up here.
Yeah,
One hopes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what an outlook to see Bafa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
We like to say that we have the best view in the valley.
Yeah, I keep saying that. It's like this is the best view. I haven't seen one like it. It gets snow on the top of it too.
Yeah, once the snow level
So we're
starts
looking kind of southwest.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Here we are at Field to Heart on the production deck. We'll come back to you in a second, Valiant.
Alrighty.
Show me what you've got.
Okay. This is kind of what we're looking
Oh,
at creating up in here.
oh
Just
my
with a lot of
goodness.
grasses and some agapanthus, just things that will give us a little buffer from the farm and also create a beautiful space.
And all those Mediterranean plants are going to do just fine here, right?
Yes, I
Oh.
think so.
I
Yeah,
love
it
it.
gets very dry and hot in the summer.
Yeah,
And you can
This
have a
is
little
a-
seating area.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, I can totally see it here.
yeah. So we keep this open. I've been keeping this open on our counter out in
Your
on the
inspo.
buffet. Yeah, just to continue looking at and for design purposes.
So, Dee, how much, like, you've done tons of garden design. That's your background, right?
Mainly garden maintenance,
But working in gardens.
yes, working in gardens. I've done garden design. This is the driveway coming in. These are the Purple Prince crab apples. We've got Nephofia in the greenhouse, and then these are Spirea arguta, which we're going to be having out here, but also coming in, which is bridal wreath Spirea.
Okay.
So as
Which
you come in,
everybody
which will be
wants, right?
Gorgeous,
Yeah. So this is your house as we approach.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the ferry gate at the end of the driveway.
Oh my gosh. So let's talk about how you found this property and what prompted it all. When you were in Snohomish, were you on leased land or?
We had sold our house living in town in Snohomish, and we were doing a rent to own deal on River Road in Snohomish,
Okay.
right across from the river. It was really beautiful. I think it might have been 30 or 40 acres, something like that. But we were just doing a small portion. So
And it was right in the vicinity of where our original cutting garden was, where we first started growing.
where we started it all. So that didn't work out, and we had to move. So I wanted to find a place that we didn't have to log, or that had land right away, that had a house that was livable that we didn't have to work on, because so much goes into the farm. So we found this, had never been here before.
This is like, let's just say for people who don't know the area, it's a good 90 minutes south of where you were previously. It's a completely different part of the state.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's what, 97 miles to the market in Seattle?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had thoughts like the great farmland is up north, but we were thinking we can expand our market by being halfway between Portland and Seattle, which the Portland market is north of the city. The Seattle market is south of the city. They are literally 1 mile apart in terms of distance.
You are
One
perfectly-
is 94, one is 95, so it's...
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
So Treya originally was trying to go for the name Centerville.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
it's the halfway point.
It's the halfway point. So that's kind of like it had a house that was affordable. It had land that we could immediately start to work because we were moving shrubs and perennials and stuff that we just wanted to get in the ground. So that's kind of how we landed here.
Oh my goodness, it's beautiful.
We call it the cosmic shove because at the time we had just joined we were becoming members instead of just like a provisional at the market. And
so somewhat of a risk, is that what you mean? Like you
well,
weren't.
it was basically all at the same time. We had my position was deemed no longer necessary at the company, where I was the horticultural specialist and like a higher overhead position.
Yeah.
And the arrangement that we had for the living situation with the people that own the land was
not going well.
not going
Up
well.
at Snohomish,
Up
you
in
mean?
Snohomish.
Yeah.
And so it all coincided at the same time.
Oh, geez.
And
Cosmic
so-
shove meaning
Cosmic
the
shove.
universe said this is going to happen whether you want to or
Yeah,
not.
all these things are happening right now. And it was when we
I love that you guys survived that. I mean, that's hard
Yeah,
on
it
a
was hard.
family.
I had told Dee at one point, because we basically got a 26-foot U-Haul, lined it with plastic, Dexter style, and started filling it with trees, root balls, just jam-packed it. And
I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by Dexter style, but is it that show with a guy who murders people?
Yes, and he like duct tapes plastic wrap on everything. I had told Dee though, if we can make this work, it's going to be like bringing Pangea back together for a world tour. And when we went and got the 26-foot truck, first it wasn't at the place they told us it was. It's on, I don't even remember, it was on an island. I had to take a ferry to go get it.
Of course, yeah.
And then I get the 26-foot truck onto a ferry, bring it back. On the side of it was Pangea. It was uncanny.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
just unbelievable.
That's a beautiful story. So you ran that truck more than once, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes, we did multiple.
Just to move your whole farm. You had to,
Yeah.
wow.
And then even then, after that, we had our dahlias were still up north. So we were doing lots of trips back and forth, going up to the Snohomish farm, harvesting, delivering, and then on the way down, bringing a trailer load of possessions and belongings.
And was this 2018?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Because 2017, we sold the house that we had.
It was 2018. We closed, I think, August 28th in 2018.
Okay, so you had a full growing season here starting 19, 20.
Yep.
Yep.
So this you've done 5 full years.
Yes.
Congratulations. It's amazing. I do think it's really amazing about being able to sell into 2 markets. But why aren't more people doing it? It's brilliant.
It is, yeah. I mean,
I think part of it is the time off of farm is a huge impact.
The delivery.
Yeah, the time delivering. So if you don't have an infrastructure that facilitates that, or the ability, and I think for some people they're just like they've got their comfort zone as well.
And you're really trying to back to the points that Dee was alluding to about quality of life and making a living. Having 2 markets gives you 2 outlets, 2 channels that don't compete with each other, right?
yes.
Right.
Yes.
And they're different. Portland, as much as like
They
the
are
rest of America
so
would like to
completely
think that the Northwest is vanilla through and through everywhere you go. It's different. There's different.
They're so different. Sometimes, like some stuff I can't keep it on the floor in Seattle, like the fennel, and then like in Portland it'll sit there. And I'm like, I'm not gonna take it there. I'm gonna.
You're noticing the aesthetic because you're a designer yourself. You're seeing what the creative community is drawn to.
Yeah.
That's so
And
interesting.
There's no reason, I can't figure it out. There's no like formula. It's just like trial and error. Like, so what's going to happen this year? Are we going to be able to sell these leaf buds, down in Portland this year?
But your sweet spot of GM and Cresspedia and some in the edible flowers, those you kind of.
I feel like those are sell well at both markets. One of the reasons why we put the GM in the tunnel was to give us an edge as well on anyone else growing it, so we can here it is first.
Get it into the market. So smart.
Yeah, and it's stuff that does get purchased and shipped up.
From
so
California.
We actually, wasn't it this year that we actually beat California?
I think we were really close. Brad, we had told him that we were just about to have blooms ready, and he was like, "Oh, we just did our first order." So it was close.
Yeah.
And those were just transplanted, so they were alright. They were struggling. They weren't at thriving at that point.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're kind of, so with the 5 years under your belt here, now you're going into the next level or the next sort of, now we're going to create, the 4th quadrant. Well, we're going to, add more there. We're going to put in our design garden and.
Yes. We're figuring out crops more. I feel like we're able to invest in like developing spirea, and then also, especially with our soil, plants that I forage from around the property, like Symphoricarpus and the Amelanchier, that are all like growing like weeds everywhere. Like, why don't we just have a row and cut out the forage? You
Yeah.
know, like, how is it looking today?
Simplify your labor also, like it's
Yeah.
all in one row.
Yes, yeah.
And
that's
people
what
love
we're-
that.
We're planning on doing, especially in field 3 here.
Field 3, sorry, I didn't get the number right.
Oh yeah.
So you're just digging up saplings and seedlings that are native plants primarily that you're turning into a specialized crop for yourself.
Yes, this is stuff that is around here that is sellable, and we're gonna like have our own rows of it.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
so great.
But I mean, everything takes time and investment, but we're getting there. And like, even making the decision and coming to the having that idea is like, oh, why didn't I think of this before?
I love
It's
that.
all right in front of me.
That's a great idea.
So the wreaths are these are all for your custom order project,
are.
right?
Currently, typically we started doing reeds and selling them at the market. That's again another thing, that they're not just a straight evergreen wreath. We're putting design elements into them. So if they don't get bought, there's a lot of time that goes into them, and we get on top of any like pre-order first,
For sure.
so that we can
Dee,
take advantage.
this wreath is is it a 20-inch wreath?
Yes,
It's pretty big.
It is. So it's like 3 feet across.
Yeah.
We were trying to get them to scale for some of these pre-order
clients,
houses that have, very large doors, or
big fireplaces or whatever.
yeah.
Oh, look, you got the Crispidia in here.
Yeah.
This is your
It's
golden
so
wreath.
happy in the wreath.
It's happy is a good word. I love it.
And we also do wreathing parties. We don't really advertise them, but it's kind of been people who have done them in the past look forward to them every year. So we kind of reach out to each other and we get some dates going.
I saw you had that on your website. So groups
Yeah.
of people will reserve a date.
Yes, and everybody makes a wreath, and we have a small selection of food and some beverages, and it's a good time.
Oh my gosh. Do they work out here on the deck?
We
or
do.
okay.
We
That's
initially
great.
started in Snohomish and used a barn, and then people were asking, "Are you going to do them again?" And we're like, "We can do them right here, right?"
I mean, you've got the whole machine set up here.
Yeah, the machines are set up here. We get a little heater going and music going, and it's nice. The lights are going, and
So sweet.
We even had people ask if we would do mobile wreath parties.
which would be fun.
But I mean, we really.
I guess you'd have to take your camper van and go do that, right?
Yeah. We really crank it up with the hospitality and stuff, though, and we
like-
make a
that's
homemade loaf of
okay.
bread, and everybody starts with a mimosa, and
Yeah.
charcuterie, and then at the end, it's more popular on the East Coast, but we make everybody a Tom and Jerry.
Oh, yes. What's in that?
The Tom and Jerry is like a butter eggnog.
With some rum in it or something.
Yeah, we usually do like some brandy in it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so it looks like you're doing some division of labor here. Dee is working on the small bits, and what are you doing, Valiant? You're just trying to create your garland recipe?
Yeah, so we have like a stock cedar garland that we're using, and then we are trying to bolster the content in it, and at the same time make it to match a wreath that has already been purchased.
Which means you're going to have the accent elements somehow tucked in.
Yeah, so it starts with just there's certain foliages that are just the more common backer, so like the Doug fir and the cedar. So you start with those, and then from that you do more of an accent foliage or textural foliage, and then you start getting into what we always call the candy,
Yeah.
like the eye catcher stuff.
I love it. So this is your sample, the one you're doing? Or is this for a client?
This will end up being for a client, but
It's a sample.
it's a sample, yeah.
Just because you're trying to.
The most of them they want to see before. For a lot of the higher end clients, it's very common that it's I won't know until I see it.
Yeah.
So.
And also, you guys, as you said, you're horticulturists. You come out of landscaping, and I know even me. My world in gardening. We just take stuff for granted that everyone knows the same thing we know, right? And then how do you orient someone who's not seen what Western red cedar looks like in a garland?
Right.
And
yeah.
so you're doing this. This is going to be what, like 20 feet or longer?
This is a 15-footer.
Okay. And you're making it on a rope base, or?
It's got a twine base with floristry wire as well.
Yeah. It's gonna be heavy.
Yes, it will be.
Wow.
And it'll probably be as a entryway sash.
Got it. Yeah.
So it'll frame the door.
So this thing is taken over. First, the wreaths were really popular, and then you made the mistake of mentioning.
Yes,
Not the mistake.
Though,
it's considered business development,
It's
right?
learning, yeah.
So the big thing for us is there is a need for off-season income because it's basically like, the sun hides behind the clouds, the tide goes out, the boat is on the sandbar, and then you're waiting for water to come back in until spring.
You're using the fisherman's analogy.
Yeah, I feel like it's basically there's seasonality
Yeah.
and at the time when crops stop, it's not like the investment stops. This is the time of year when we would build a tunnel. This is the time.
That is also why we have Val now working another job so that we can invest back in the farm instead of trying to make a meager living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to be comfortable and to spend money, get plants, have more tunnels, make things nice.
Well,
And we're having a hard time getting to that place when we're both here.
yeah.
So it's helping.
But when I first met you, you were working full-time in Landscaping Valiant, weren't you? When you were living in Snohomish?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And you were this was the
And that's
the
where
firm where you guys met.
the whole move and everything had taken place.
Well, so you've already known how to juggle basically two full-time operations. Your off-farm job and then the farm itself.
Yeah.
Wow.
The business he works for right now does 4 days a week for everybody.
Oh, wow.
Which is really nice.
Really nice.
Yeah, they are an amazing company. I think that from the learning experiences that we all came out of the prior company with, they wanted to structure things intentionally to value people and to,
These are the two guys that have spun off. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And so they do 4-day work weeks, but they also shift it. So 1 week starts on a Monday, the next one starts on a Tuesday. The one that starts on a Monday is your payday week. So you have your payday Friday off and you get a 3-day weekend.
So when did you guys actually meet and get together, and when did Field to Heart kind of become part of your lives?
So we met in probably 2007 or 8. I went to Nussbaum Group to work. I was working as a gardener for Paul Allen Estate for Vulcan. And
Can you say that now?
what's that?
Can you say that now on camera?
At the time I couldn't.
I love it, right. How many NDAs did you have to sign?
Right.
And then, so I went to work there, and then we formed a relationship there, and then when I had kids, I kind of eased out of Nussbaum Group, and especially having kids with special needs. Like, we were living in Snohomish and both of us are working in a county away.
Paying all of one person's salary basically for childcare.
Yeah.
Mine was
We
all
were
the
paying to
childcare.
not see our kids.
I know.
basically.
I know. It's so
It's
sad.
backwards. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Backwards.
our culture doesn't support working parents.
So I focused then on like working part-time there, doing the designs for everybody's pots. And then when Prairie, our second child, came along, our midwife said, I have a job opportunity for you, or like a business opportunity. I was like, what is it? And she's like, you tell me.
Well, this is
and
also.
I was like, what?
This is also after when Velvet was born. Dee and the midwife had made a deal that
We
Dee
bartered.
Dee did a homeopathic midwifery garden design for the front of
Doing like postnatal and prenatal.
You're
plants.
so capable. I love it.
It was cool. Yeah.
Wonderful story.
And then, then she said, I have a business opportunity, and I was like, what? And she's like, I don't know, what? So I said,
she
"How
wanted
about-"
you to. She just believed in
Here's
you.
a piece
Yes.
of land. What would you do with this piece of land?
Oh.
So that's how Field to Heart got started. They had a organic you-pick raspberry patch, and I said, what about a cutting garden?
Like a you pick cut flower thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
a you-cut flower garden. And so they gave us a little plot, and we started to design it out, and from there, like, I didn't really know much about cut flowers as much as landscaping and plants. But I would go to, I'd make Val go because he's a little more of a people person, but go around to florists if we had extra stuff.
Yeah, he's kind of your extroverted.
He's the Leo rising.
Cold call,
over
knock,
here.
and deliver a bouquet to florists.
In Snohomish mainly, or down in Seattle?
Snohomish and Monroe in the vicinity. At one point, I walked down the antique road with a red radio flyer wagon and kid in the wagon and bouquets, and was going into
Who would
shops
say no to that guy?
Right. Going into shops and offering and restaurants because we were like, we could do the table arrangements, you know. We were just trying to find our way. We have a funny experience. We were like, this flower farming, I was like, oh my God, I want to quit and do this. I want to be close to home. I want to be with her. I love working with her. And then not getting to work together anymore.
Right.
So we were like, we got to figure out how we can do this. And we had seen this book, and there was this farmer up in Skagit.
Sunflower.
Yeah.
And we were like, Jello mold. Who are they? And we tried to call and just like do a drop in on them and walk through their farm.
No way.
We told them after this.
Did we?
We tried calling, and then we also that one day.
I know I emailed her, and later on she was like, "Did I email you back?" And I was like, "You did." She's like, "Phew."
But it was, it's
tough.
like peak season, and
Yeah.
we're trying to do like, hey, can we just come walk through your
Right.
farm?
You didn't know. Now, if someone did that to you, you'd be like, maybe
Yeah,
in the
she
dead of
said,
winter.
she said maybe like in the winter.
Yeah.
But
That's funny.
it was funny because that was an inspiration. That the book, Jello mold, we started really getting into it. And then I love to tell Dee, like, oh my God, here it is like years later. And like we're like friends with these people. And we're at the market that we were reading
They're our
about.
peers.
And yeah, so it's been a great...
Oh,
It's
that's
been a good
great.
journey.
That's great. So you actually farmed in Snohomish for how, like 3 or 4 years? Or actually truly had the
Probably-
business
We
been?
started in 2013
Okay.
with the flower garden, or the U-cut patch, and moved here in 2018.
Wow. So you're in your 10th year.
Yes, we are.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
I'm so thrilled.
It's been like a roller coaster.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's so great. Well, this is just a beautiful place, and I hope you do open the doors to visits sometime in the future, because it's just, you're not that far off the freeway, and it's like paradise out here.
Gorgeous little gem of
It's
an
an
area
escape.
with the best view of Vafa Peak in the whole valley.
Mm.
Yeah, to me, it is. I'm really excited because, like, on the other side of the river at our old house, it was just noisy.
This is so peaceful,
This
isn't
is
it?
so peaceful.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. It's like the first place in Washington I've lived where I can't hear
Well, let me get all three of you together as a little family unit. We love Field to Heart. Thanks so much. At the end there, the photo with Val and Dee is with their oldest daughter, Velvet. Okay, thanks so much for joining us today. You can visit slowflowerspodcast.com for episode 638 to find our show notes, see more photos of Field to Heart, and watch the replay video. I also wanted to mention that you can find Dee's handmade pottery mugs and vases on the Field to Heart website and at the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market. I love her sentiments. She wrote, "We often wonder if we are farmers with the eyes of an artist or artists with a farmer's touch. We are educated in both, and we strive to create our lives around both disciplines, whether it be plant identification to painting, music to garden nerding, or ceramics to soil health. It's all intertwined." I love that beautiful idea. And now I want to thank our sponsors who make this show possible. This show is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free online directory to more than 750 florists, shops, and studios who design with local, seasonal, and sustainable flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. And thank you to our lead sponsor, Farm Grow Flowers. Farm Grow Flowers delivers iconic burlap wrap bouquets and lush, abundant arrangements to customers across the U.S., supporting U.S. flower farms by purchasing more than $10 million of U.S. grown, fresh and seasonal flowers and foliage annually. Discover more at farmgrowflowers.com. And thank you to the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, a farmer-owned cooperative committed to providing the very best the Pacific Northwest has to offer in cut flowers, foliage, and plants. The Growers Market's mission is to foster a vibrant marketplace that sustains local flower farms and provides top quality products and services to the local floral industry. Visit them at seattlewholesalegrowersmarket.com. Thank you to Longfield Gardens, which provides home gardeners with high quality flower bulbs and perennials. Their online store offers plants for every region and every season, from tulips and daffodils to dahlias, caladiums, and amaryllis. Check out the full catalog at longfield-garden.com. Our final thank you goes to Rooted Farmers. Rooted Farmers works exclusively with local growers to put the highest quality specialty cut flowers in floral customers' hands. When you partner with Rooted Farmers, you are investing in your community, and you can expect a commitment to excellence in return. Learn more at rootedfarmers.com. And a reminder, there's just 1 month left to take advantage of our $100 off early bird promotion when you register for the Slow Flowers Summit, now through December 31st. Find the link to more details in our show notes or head over to slowflowersummit.com. I can't wait to see you in Banff, Alberta, Canada, June 23rd through 25th. I love all this floral goodness, and I'm so happy you joined me today. The Slow Flowers Show is a member-supported endeavor, and I value our loyal members and supporters. If you're new to our weekly show or our long-running podcast, check out all of our resources at slowflowerssociety.com. I'm Deborah Prinzing, host and producer of the Slow Flowers Show and the Slow Flowers Podcast. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more slow flowers on the table, one stem, one vase at a time. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. Thanks so much for joining us today, and I'll